Hi everyone, I'm Lynsey Henry and I'm back for another live event with Stigma-Free Society. Now, once again, I'm a registered clinical counselor and a school counselor in Surrey schools. Just a reminder, please read our video description for our disclaimer. And we just want to make sure that you're staying safe and seeking out support when you need it. And we're doing these live events for you, so please ask me some questions, express how you're feeling, and I'll try the best I can to answer them. So our website is stigmafreetoolkit.com, and there you can find many different resources for educators, youth, parents, and school counselors like myself. So next week, I wanted to announce with you too, we had our special announcement yesterday. We're gonna have a fundraising event next Wednesday. So it's going to be starting at 10 a.m. and go all day, and we have so many great speakers lined up. So we're hoping you can make it and tune in and check that out next Wednesday, starting at 10 a.m. So today I wanted to talk about changing families and separation and divorce. So you might wonder, well, why is this important to talk about right now? Well, I think with COVID-19 and families, a lot of us are staying at home more often and we're around our children more often. So this could lead to more conflict or just some arguing in the home and potential breakups between families and parents. So the children witness this fighting and they need different ways to process and cope. So that's why I felt like it was really important to talk about today. Now myself, I don't have children, but I have gone through the divorce process and it is really stressful and draining. So I wanted to think about both parents and youth in this conversation and how a counselor can best support you and maybe just some different fun activities to do with your kids to help them process their emotions as well. So I'll start a bit with some tips for parents, and I got a lot of these suggestions from the Changing Families website, and they have a lot of really great resources there. So I'll mention a bit more about that later. So their first tip is just try to appear as calm as you can. It's tough, I know, but you're their safety and security figure. So even when things are getting emotional, getting tense, it's important to put that calm, smiling face on for your children, even when it's tough. Listen and answer their questions, whether it be about money, about where they're going to live. Children are curious and they just want to know what's going on to a certain extent with boundaries, right? Talk to the other parent with respect in front of your children. That can be really tough if there's lots of tension and arguments, but just try your best. Remember that your children are watching and listening. And just try and involve the other parent as much as possible. So little things like school events, sports events, other activities they might be involved in, keep on the same page so that everybody knows what's going on in the co-parenting situation. Also, just talk to the other parent and just express your feelings around those different activities and what's going on so that you can arrange your calendar schedules so that both people can be there if they want to be. Also, just make sure children are spending time with both their parents and other people that matter to them a lot. So on the Changing Families website, they actually have a co-parenting plan that you can check out and a different checklist that can be really helpful in establishing those plans. A big one here, take care of yourself. So you are so important. So self-care is really important for you as well in these situations. So seek counseling support for yourself. Right now, there's so much free phone counseling that you can get through like Moving Forward Family Services, No Fear Counseling, Foundry's opening new locations. There are so many people out there to support you. So make sure you're connecting with counselors to help support you. And consistent rules and boundaries are also really important. Keeping the routines the same for kids and allowing them to have some choices and control in situations. And just let them be a kid. Don't involve them with adult conversations. So just try your best. And I found this fun acronym, co-parent. So each letter stands for something different. So here's some other tips. C stands for communicate. So don't use your kids as messengers. O, operate as a team as best you can. And P, pick and choose your battles. Is it really worth having an argument or conversation around this issue if it's just something that's not that big of a deal, right? Arrange short and cordial exchanges for drop-offs and pickups. And respect the time you have, that your kids have with the other parent as well, right? So just allowing them to have that space. You don't need to be texting and calling when they're with the other parent necessarily, because that might kind of intrude with their time with that parent as well. And E stands for enjoy time for yourself. So enjoy time to connect with your friends as a parent and express some feelings that you're having struggles with right now. And never talk negatively about the other parent in front of your kids. So just try your best to keep it positive. And T stands for take time to check your own attitude and behavior through self reflection, journaling, talking with your friends, a counselor, and whatnot. So now you might wonder, well, what do I tell children in counseling sessions to help them cope? Well, I usually with older kids, I develop something called a coping plan, and we go through some different strategies that work really well from them when they're feeling upset. For younger kids, we might create a calm down toolbox with different tools like a stress ball or just different fidget items to help them feel calm in situations that might be uncomfortable. I also encourage them to ask their parents questions and express their feelings. So you don't want to be like that pop bottle that's been shaken and the fizz and pressures on the outside of the pop bottle. You want to let your feelings go and just don't be afraid to talk about them. I also encourage children I try and get them to ask me questions as well, and I try and answer them to the best of my ability. I discuss different changes to expect and how living arrangements and visits might be a bit different, and that's okay. And just an opportunity to express their feelings through art, journaling, listening to music. And overall, as a school counselor, I just want to validate their feelings because kids want to be heard and they want to be understood and they want us to empathize with them. So that's really important as well. If children are feeling like they might be caught in the middle, I encourage them to be assertive about their feelings. So using that I feel and I need type of statements to explain that to their parents. Even just writing about how they feel in a letter. So if you're not quite ready to express yourself out loud with a counselor or with your parent, maybe just writing a letter to your parent and expressing those feelings can be a little bit less pressure. So that's another way to get them across. Taking time to tell your friends. So for students, I tell them, you don't have to tell your friends right away that your parents are going through a separation or divorce. You can take your time. They don't need to know right away. And when you do tell your friends about it, make sure it's in a calm, quiet space because it might bring up some emotions for you and some tears. So you want to be in a place where you feel safe and secure and a private place with your friends to discuss that conversation. I also suggest kids keeping like a planner or agenda to keep track when they're staying at each parent's house and visits, and just to keep things at both homes that make them feel comfortable and safe. So a student of mine, I mentioned to her last week that I was going to be having this talk for my live event, and she's in a blended family. Her parents divorced and also remarried. So she has step parents and step siblings as well. And I asked her, hey, what helped you as a kid when your parents were going through that separation and divorce process? Because I wanted to hear from a child's perspective what helped them the most. And this girl said that just having things at both houses that made her feel comfortable, like slippers or stuffed animal, really helped her a lot. And just getting outside of the house, outside of the home for walks and activities. And she also said something really good I didn't think of is just spending time with other family members. So she said she would have sleepovers at her grandparents' house or go stay at her aunt's house. And she found that really helpful to just separate her from what was going on with her parents and just enjoying time with those family members that you don't get to see that often. And I also talked with the childcare worker at my school a bit about what he thought about separation and divorce. And he said the biggest thing for his kids was making sure to have a consistent schedule so the kids know when they're going where, basically. And as a school counselor and the CCW, we both notice when the kids come to school and they're not sure of their parents' schedule, and it creates this tension in them at school and totally changes around their routine. So just making sure the kids know the schedule makes a big difference in their overall well-being and what's happening, really. So yeah, you might also wonder, what about cases where there might be abuse, so emotional or physical abuse in the home? So for myself as a counselor, I have to report any disclosures about safety or abuse or disclosures around that to the Ministry of Family and Children Development that can connect you with resources as well. And I have to encourage people and families to seek professional help. So support from a counselor, psychologist, a doctor, other agencies that can help support in the separation and divorce process. One of the agencies I actually, during my practicum, had the pleasure of working with children whose mothers had escaped an abusive situation, and they were living in a building, and I got to see the children and do art therapy with them. So that was a great opportunity for those children to express themselves through art with other children facing the same type of situations in living in that building. So that was another great opportunity that I had in my practicum. So I'm just going to go over a couple of resources with you, and then I'm going to get to some of your questions before we do an activity together. So as I mentioned, that Changing Families resource, so it's called familieschange.ca, and that's a great one for parents, for teens, and for children ages 6 to 12. And I actually used it during this time with a student over Zoom and screen shared the website. And there's like different stores and on the website, like it's a little community, and they can click on each store for different resources and help and just tools to help them with their emotions. So I thought it was really engaging and cool. And they also had a game connected with it called Changeville, where children get to practice the different skills that they're learning on the website. And the game is for ages 6 to 10. And they also have links to parenting after a separation course. So I found this in my office as well, a brochure about that program. And from the parents I've heard that have taken it, they said it was really helpful and it's free. So take advantage of these free resources. So their contact information was 604-591-9262, extension 127. And on the front of the brochure here, it just says, are you a parent going through separation? Are you helping your children adjust to changes after a family separation? Would you like information about options for resolving family disputes, including mediation, counseling, and court? So that is the separation online parenting after separation program. And I think they're doing an online version right now with COVID-19 as well. So yeah, that's their contact information. Another good one I know about through my school district, Surrey School District, is the Connect Parenting Program. And there's district behavior specialists that I actually know and have done workshops with that hold this workshop for parents in parenting skills. So that's a 10-week program, and it's attachment-based for preteens and teens that are struggling to understand or have a lot of behavior happening in the home. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and don't know what to do as a parent, it's a really great 10-week course. So their contact information is 604-595-5373. And I'll put all these resources in the comment section below afterwards as well. So I also wanted to share a couple resources that I have in my office with you, books. And I really like books in having conversations with children around separation and divorce and just other feelings issues. It just kind of sparks conversation and sparks engagement and interest. So this is one that I use with younger kids. It's called Dinosaur's Divorce, A Guide for Changing Families. And it's really cute. It goes through this dinosaur and his parents are getting a separation. It tells why parents divorce in kid-friendly language, and it shows some different feelings they might be experiencing so I can get the child to point how they might be feeling. It talks about just moving from different, after the divorce, how it might feel, moving to visit at both homes, what if your parent starts dating someone new, and special occasions, all kinds of different things, even telling their friends and give some tips. So I really like that one. Another one I have is What Happens Next, information for kids about separation and divorce. And I believe this was a free resource that an old counselor in my room had. Either way, it's more for older students, and it talks a bit about just legal terminology, words for kids, how everything might be changing for them, questions around that. It also shares personal stories on each page, which I think is pretty cool, from actual kids and what they experienced. So just allowing them to relate to other kids that might be going through the same thing. And just plans around who's going to live where and visitation, and even what happens if there's violence, and it kind of explains through that in child-friendly language, and you could read it together with your child. Also, I had this workbook I've used with children before. It just allows an opportunity to express their feelings on each page, do some written work, talk about their feelings, journaling them, pictures, all kinds of stuff. What to do when you feel helpless. So there were some great resources in there too. Also, I like to do a lot of art and a lot of fun stuff, as you know, because I like to do an activity with you each time I talk. But one of them is just to get children to write an affirmation that is meaningful and positive to them. This too shall pass, and that's with crayon, and then do watercolor paint on top. And watercolor painting can be really relaxing as well to help practice dealing with emotions. So that's one art activity I've done. I've done this iceberg activity. Sometimes what we see on the surface might be different from what we're feeling below. And older kids, collages about positivity, positive thinking can also be really helpful. I also have an app on my phone called Daily Affirmations, and it shows a new affirmation each day that can help keep the family positive during these tough times. So yeah, I wanted to take a moment for your questions. So I'll scroll and see if I have any questions. And then after we'll do an art activity together. So let's have a look here. Hi, Kendall and Ash. Hi, Jackie. How do you help children who feel like they have to pick sides in a separation and divorce? Yeah, so that Changing Families resource really went through it well when kids are feeling in the middle, and just being able to get comfortable with expressing themselves in that way. So talking to the parent if they're ready in asserting their emotions and feelings, or alternatively writing a letter and stating those different feelings to both parents that they're feeling like they're stuck in the middle and having to pick sides and deliver messages. So I would say expressing your feelings assertively is probably the best solution for that one. Thank you for that question. How can parents help with long-term effects of parent separations of children? I would say parents could help by getting their children into counseling or just doing different art activities and allowing open expression in the home of feelings and just being really supportive of that and not being afraid to ask for help, and even just hearing stories from other children their age. So if you, as a parent, know another family that you're pretty close with and their children may have also went through separation or divorce, maybe just allowing those kids to communicate with supervision around how they felt around that. And I think kids really relate well to other kids. So I think that would be a helpful solution, as well as just seeking out those extra free services and resources in our communities and free counseling, especially right now with all the options of doing it online and on the phone. How can parents help restore their children's faith in lasting relationships as they grow older if they're worried about their own relationships? That's a tough one. I think that would come up more so in individual counseling sessions and just finding positive thoughts and affirmations related around that and discussing that with a counselor. As a parent, I would try and model it. I would model that hope and model that positivity in finding a new relationship for yourself, right? But also taking that time for your child to process things, but modeling down the road, dating new people, and it's okay to restore and have a new relationship yourself as a parent, but just taking some space, a bit of space before you do that to take care of yourself and look within yourself and your own self-care. Yeah, so I think modeling is the best way to teach our children. My parents got us our own lawyer when they divorced. Do you recommend this? I would want to look into this a bit more before answering this question, so I might get back to you on that one, Andrea. Own lawyer for the kids, just to express themselves, I'm assuming you mean? I would just recommend the kids getting their own counselor separate from the adult counselor. I'm not quite sure about own lawyer. Yeah, I'll look into that and get back to you on that question. But I think an own separate counselor. So the parent might be seeing one individual and the kids can be seeing somebody different. They don't have to be the same person necessarily. And then looking towards family counseling altogether in the future with one counselor. But I would work individually first and allow that opportunity for that trust to build and that relationship to build in the counseling relationship. I love the books and resources. I never had this in the 80s when the stigma of divorce was huge. Would be nice to have a counselor during this horrible process. Yes, I agree 100%, and books are a great way to engage children in conversations around feelings. So thank you for recognizing that. What do you say to your children when the parent won't be active in their life, the long-term picture? I would try myself to look into resources and books around that specific situation in those discussions, maybe even videos on YouTube of other children expressing their experiences in having a parent that was no longer active in their life and what they did to overcome it. So I find things sometimes like TED Talks for kids, or just other youth and children speaking out about their feelings and their experiences. Even finding like a movie or something depicting something similar in order to engage and bring up that conversation with the children about the parent no longer being active, just reassuring them and validating them that, hey, the reason that so-and-so isn't involved with our life anymore has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. This was a choice that the other parent made on their own. And right now, we're just going to work together as a family. I'm going to support you the best I can. And it's not your fault. I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest message to tell those children. It's not your fault that that person's no longer in our life. And we can do this together as a family. And those positive affirmations, I think, are best. Thank you for that question, Jackie. How do you explain to young kids when one parent gets sole custody? Ooh, that's a tough one too. I would say looking into more of those resources on the Changing Families website and having those conversations. I believe they might have even had a section particularly on that about sole custody. So did one of those books I had actually explaining sole custody and what that means and why. And basically in the end, it's we're just trying to make the best choice and decision for our family. And we can do this together. We're in it together, and just having those positive messages. Thank you. All right, well, I thought I'd do a fun activity with you, so I hope you all have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. And if other questions come up for you during this activity and you want me to answer them, I think I'll have a bit of time at the end to do that. So what we're going to be working on today is a house. And there's some different questions I have around this activity that I do with my students while we draw it. And I actually tested it out with a grade 2 student last week who also has a changing family. And she said she really liked it. So I think it's a good activity in processing those feelings around separation and divorce. So the first step of the activity, in the middle of our paper, we're going to draw a nice big square for our house. And our house is going to be 3 floors with a roof at the top. So it's a nice big house actually. So here's my house. There's the roof. And I'm going to split the square into 3 sections for the 3 different floors of the house. Okay? So 1, 2, 3 sections for the house, and then the roof on top. Now on the side, I'm going to draw a chimney. And I'm also going to draw a door in the middle at the bottom here. There we go. So there's my house, 3 floors. I got a roof, a door, and a chimney. All right. So on the roof, we're going to think together, and you can type your ideas in the comments box if you're comfortable and would like to share, or just listen along and help think of your own ideas in your head. So on the roof, we're going to write things or people that protect us. Things or people that protect us. So first of all, I'm going to write teachers protect us, mom and dad protect us, police officers protect us and keep us safe. Maybe older family members, older sisters, other family members, they are there for us and help protect us. All right, so that's the roof, those things and people that protect us. Next, on level 3, we're going to write a list of things that make us feel happy. So we want to think of those positive things to fall back on when we're feeling down. So for me, especially lately with COVID-19, I've been loving playing games, board games, online games, all kinds of games. It makes me feel happy and have fun. So I'm going to write games. I also really enjoy spending time with my friends. And that can be tough right now, but we have lifted the restrictions a bit so we can spend some more time with friends outside and maintain our social distance. Other things that make me happy, sunny days, going to the beach, even just watching a funny movie. So any of those things that help you feel good. All right, I'll show you how mine's starting to look. I think my pen smudged a little bit, but there it is. And on level 2, we're going to list or draw emotions we want to experience more often at home. So remember, these are kids that I'm working with that might be going through some difficult times. So what are some emotions you want to experience more often at home? You might even draw little emojis next to them. Laughter. Who can't get enough laughter? So I'm going to draw a happy face and write laughter. I want to feel silly more often at home. And this makes me think of Fantasia that teaches yoga on Fridays. She has so much fun with her daughter, and she has videos of them rollerblading around the house or singing, and she does lives, and I just think it's awesome being silly, being more silly at home. Why not? We have a little tongue sticking out emoji for silly. Excited. I want to feel like I can look forward to more things at home. So I'm going to draw an excited face. Maybe one more emotion. I want to feel surprised more often. Surprised with fun activities. We don't get to feel that feeling of surprise very often. More often, like when it's our birthday and things like that. So that might be a good feeling to experience more often. So that's what I have. I have my little emojis. Laughter, silly, excited, surprised. All right, now we're on to level 1 of our house. On level 1, we're going to list areas at home that you would like to change. So think about children's mindset. What would you want to change at home if you were a child? So I would want to change having more choice of what to eat. Because I remember as a kid, I was like, I want to choose what we're eating for dinner. Well, how come you always get to choose, Mom? So more choice of what to eat for dinners. Maybe might be something a child might want to change about home. A child might want to change having more sleepovers. I want to have more sleepovers with my friends. I remember I always wanted to have sleepovers. Another one, more dessert. Or I want to do more baking at home. Or I want to have a family game night once a week or something like that. Just with Mom, or a fun activity just with Dad. It could be either, right? More dessert or baking. So these are all different things that give the child a bit of control to think about these things they want to see more often in the home that are going to keep them feeling more positive. All right, now we're on to the door. What are things that you keep hidden? So we all keep things hidden a bit sometimes, but remember, we want to try our best to express ourselves. But just think, what do we keep hidden? As a child, I kept my diary or journal hidden. So that was one thing that I kept hidden. And I don't think I talked too much about my negative thoughts. So I wish I talked a bit more about those. I bottled them up a little too much. So I'm going to write negative thoughts and my diary or journal on the door. So those are the things we keep hidden. Walls. So you can just do this on the outside of the house. The walls are our other support systems. So other people that support us. Maybe it's a family friend. Maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe it's a teacher. Maybe it's a school counselor. Maybe it's somebody else that works at the school, a principal, an EA. It could be anybody or a close friend. So those are other people that support us. So I just kind of drew lines by the wall for those people. Okay, and very last one is our chimney. So chimney, we're gonna list the ways that we can blow off steam. So for me, this is a funny one. Monday, I went to the driving range. That helped me blow off steam. It was funny because hitting the ball, it just felt good. It used to be baseball for me, the baseball and the bat, and that helped me blow off steam. Batting practice. Maybe you're into kickboxing and doing a kickboxing class online. That helps you blow off steam. Maybe it's just having a hot bath at night, or a hot shower with some nice smelling lotion, or putting that on afterwards, or a bath bomb or whatnot with a nice scent. Maybe it's cold water when you're feeling angry. So there can be many things that help us blow off steam, but I would write your top few. There we go. All the ways that help us blow off steam. All right. Well, that's our house, and that's an activity that I do with my students as a school counselor that might be going through separation or divorce. So I hope you found that helpful, and thank you so much for being here with me today. And just a reminder, next week, Wednesday, is our special fundraiser event, and there's going to be a celebrity guest and lots of other great speakers, and I'll be there as well. So thanks, everyone. Take care.